Andrew, without further ado, I'll put it right over to yourself. And like I said, everybody, I hope you had that coffee, got that drink really quickly. Andrew's going to go through his presentation right now. And we were just talking about you at Ely. We were talking about a deal over there.
I know. I'm happy. I was happy to yield some of my time, and it sort of offsets the technical glitch we had here because, I can say something and you guys can take it or leave it. But if someone else talks about what we're doing and with such high praise, then that's worth its weight in gold or silver as the commodity goes. Exactly. So happy to take it away, and we'll circle back at the end for questions. I got to say, this is one of my favorite conference circuits to do. Just given the long form aspect of it, most times they only give you a 10 or 15 minute window to talk about why people should be putting their hard-earned money into what you're doing and why you think you can show them a bit of a return. And ultimately, that's what it's about at the end of the day. The only reason why any of you would be coming onto these things isn't really to hear about geology or isn't to hear about output. It's really about how are you going to make money and get the best return. Luckily, we've been able to really do that in spades for our investors early on this year, and we've stood out as one of the better performers. In fact, one of the biggest issues we've been facing for the past few months is the fact that we've made people too much money in too short a period of time, and we've had to chew through some profit taking. But it's exciting now in the sense that we're starting to hit our stride. And as I said, this is our second time here with you. The first time what we were talking about was a lot quite conceptual in nature, and this time we've actually shown that we're delivering on everything we've said, and every single thing that we've done, every drill hole that we've released is getting us one step closer to realizing the end goal, and that vision's getting brighter by the day. So I will certainly be making some forward-looking statements. And as I said, a lot of what I said last time with you, we were talking about things that we've now accomplished. Most importantly, though, is we're just getting started. We're only midway through our maiden drill program ever on the Tonopah West property, the project that Trey was telling you about, and they did really the hard yards in consolidating for us and really teed it up so that we came and are hitting it out of the park. You'll see, as I said, we've made people some substantial money this year. March 15th, we were trading at 7 cents. Fast forward about 4 months, we hit $1.61, and we're trading, we're trading right around where this graph is showing. The only difference is from October 1st to now, our volume has gone up substantially. It's nearly doubled. So we're trading something like 700,000 shares a day on the TSX Venture. And that's, once again, anytime a stock goes from 7 cents to, well over $1 in such a short period of time, there's going to be people that have been in it since the early beginning, since it was a real backwater story, who are now taking some off the table. But really, all this buying we've seen in the past few weeks, and I'm talking since October 1st, we've traded 11 million shares. That's new people coming in, purchasing, around $1, and they're cycling out investors who have been in since 10, 15, 20 cents just a few months ago. This is a necessary evil, but what that does is it allows for that consolidation to really coil that spring and set us up for the next leg up. Hopefully, obviously, with the election, we'll get some more certainty coming into the price of gold and silver, and maybe we'll be from a market standpoint, ready to take a serious move. But certainly from what we're doing, man, we've been ramping up, and I think it's going to be the perfect storm of results, good market, and a share structure that is now consolidated, and everyone's positioned around $1 as opposed to 7 cents. You'll see in the past few months, we've added some pretty prominent investors to us. We've raised about $12 million since June. 5 million of that was a personal investment by Eric Sprott. Eric has been seeing what we're doing. He's obviously a huge shareholder of Ely, and knows the quality, knows their methodology, but behind putting together districts. And once we hit on our first drill hole, which was that big hockey stick line graph up there, that's when we got the call, and we're well financed. It's allowed us to scale up and really let the rubber hit the road. Now I'll just touch on our team briefly because anytime a company goes from say $10 or $15 million market cap to plus $100 million market cap. You want to know if they have the right bench strength, if they know what they're doing, and if they can advance projects. I'm just going to show you part of our board here. I'm a president, CEO, but the real driver behind what we're doing from a project level is Bill Howell. Bill Howell, among many things, he's a Nevada guy, but for about 20 years he was head of exploration for Placer Dome, up until their takeout by Barrick Gold in 2005 for $10 billion. Bill had oversight over all of their stuff in the Americas, but most importantly, he had oversight over all of their stuff in Nevada. He's added over 100 million ounces of gold to reserves and resources throughout his career. Once again, not only were they a major mining company, but they were the mover and shaker in Nevada. So Bill knows the state better than anyone. He's as connected as it gets, and he knows how to scale up a project. And that's just what we've done. We've gone from 1 drill to 3 drills in a span of about a month and a half from when we started, and we're not looking back. And from an engineering point of view, I've got one of the best mine builders on the planet that joined us after we took over the Tonopah project, and that's David Lang. David has been behind some of the biggest deals, including Endeavor Mining, but most recently he was COO of Equinox Gold. So he certainly knows what he's doing on that front. So who are we? We've got 2 projects, both in the state of Nevada. The similarities between them both are big ounces potential and big grades. Now, our main value driver and the reason for all of our run as of late has been our Tonopah West project, which is literally dead center in the heart of the Walker Lane district. Tonopah West is the consolidation of one of the largest and most significant silver discoveries in all of North America, certainly one of the highest grades. And the best part is it's been hiding in plain sight for the better part of 100 years. We're the first group to go consolidate this district with Ely's help. And we're the first group to go in and target the historic workings, literally targeting where historic miners left off in the 1920s and 30s, not because they thought they ran out of gold and silver. It's because of just the tanking precious metals prices. Our other project is the Silver Cloud project in north central Nevada. It's right at the top of the Carlin Trend, right where it intersects with the northern Nevada Rift. So on one side of us, you've got some of the largest gold mines on the planet. Goldstrike, for example, is about 15 to 20 kilometers away from us, which is the largest mine in North America. But the northern Nevada Rift is home to some of the highest grade deposits on the planet. Hollister is right next door to us. We've got 45 square kilometers. It's virgin territory, to say the least. It was tied up with a really bad deal, which is the only reason it hasn't been turned into Swiss cheese. But it's got a lot going for it. And because Tonopah has become such a value driver for us lately, and because anytime you've got 2 assets in a company that aren't producing, you're only ever really going to get valued for one of them. So what we decided to do after we had such success at Tonopah is spin out Silver Cloud into a brand new company. So the board is pursuing a strategy that will see Silver Cloud spun out into a brand new company. Those shares will be dividended to investors. So if you invest in Blackrock today, you'll get a position in not 1 but 2 companies with what looks like the emergence of the mother of all secular bull markets of precious metals about to come your way very soon. So what we're thinking is you're going to get, for every 3 shares you have in Blackrock, you're going to get 1 in the new co. What that means is we're going to come out of the gates with something like 35 million shares. With the backing of Eric Sprott as one of the key investors, and it's going to be one of, honestly, Silver Cloud is one of the best grassroots projects in Nevada, certainly. And once again, if this were Roman times in the gold mining space, Nevada is Rome when it comes to gold. But what I'm going to tell you about today is silver. Everyone thinks of Nevada these days, due to the Carlin as the place to mine gold. But about 150 years ago, the state of Nevada was actually a state because of a massive discovery called the Comstock Lode. The reason it stayed a state was because of Tonopah. Tonopah was one of the most influential discoveries in Nevada mining history. Comstock Lode was the biggest, but Tonopah really picked up the slack after about a 20-year decline in discoveries in Nevada, and it really spurred on multiple other discoveries, which really form the basis for the Walker Lane Belt now. But really, it all goes back to Tonopah. And what is Tonopah? As I said, it's one of the largest historic silver districts in all of North America. Now, it's produced 174 million ounces of silver, nearly 2 million ounces of gold. It's a little deceiving, though, because that got cut short. We're confident that what we're targeting in terms of what the historic miners left for us in the ground, we think is substantially more than they ever took out. This is not a ceiling. 174 million ounces is not a ceiling that we see not being able to break through. They had about 2 good decades before the Great Depression emerged, before they started playing games with the price of gold and silver, and it really sent the final nails in the coffin, and no one's really looked to open it back up and see what treasures may stay in there. I refer to us on the cover page of as hunting for gold and silver. We're treasure hunting here, and I think we found the holy grail in terms of silver discoveries. And Tonopah, I think, will be the standout silver discovery of 2020, and we're quickly backing that up with the results that we're doing. So here we go. So this is gold rush sort of stuff. Wild West. It was discovered in 1900 by a prospector and his mule. Mining had died down after the discovery in the 1860s, I believe, of the Comstock Lode, and there was about a 20-year gap where people were leaving the state, where no one was finding much of anything, and the state of Nevada was really down on its luck until Jim Butler and his trusty mule came along. They were walking literally in the middle of nowhere. He was a rancher. His mule ran off. Story goes he tripped over an outcropping vein, and Tonopah was discovered. Now, what makes Tonopah very, very unique, and depending on your outlook of silver, this is something that really makes Tonopah stand out, is the fact that historically speaking, and we've confirmed it roughly in the early drilling that we've done, it's 100-to-1 silver gold ratio. This is a pure play primary precious silver district. These are very, very unique to come across. Normally, silver is a byproduct of base metal mines, be it lead or zinc or copper. Normally, and you have to go to far-flung places like Chile or South America. For silver gold districts, I mean, you have to go up to down to seedy parts of Mexico, which you're dealing with infrastructure issues. You're dealing with security issues, or you're going up to Alaska or the Yukon. This is literally halfway between Las Vegas and Reno. There's a town next door. It's almost too good to be true from a mining standpoint. I mean, we've got everything we need there. Now, one other thing that makes this stand out is the grades. Tonopah, over the 30 or so years of commercial production that they saw, the average grade realized from production was over 2 kilograms per ton silver equivalent. 2 kilos. Anytime you're giving precious metal grades in kilograms per ton, you're onto something. We've confirmed that we've now released something like 16 drill holes. We've got 5 intercepts over 1 kilogram per ton. We're fishing with some dynamite, and I'm going to tell you about those in just a second. So here is the story of Tonopah from I guess a numbers point of view. The red line there is the bar chart showing the ounces produced, and as I said, this was discovered in about 1900, and they started producing right away. These were outcropping veins right from surface that were thick. One of the veins on our property was reported to be up to 30 meters. And guess who reported that? We did in our very first drill hole on the property. Now, what we're seeing here is really a story in early 20th century history. The discovery was made, claim stakers rushed in, consolidated the district. These patented claims have been tied up ever since. Really, the hard yards are in the consolidation. This is, from an exploration point of view, I mean, this is like stepping up to a T-ball stand and just swinging. Now you'll see production dropped off a cliff right around 1917, which was obviously World War I. The district was besieged by strikes, and then around 1923, production really fell off a cliff when the price of silver went from about $1 an ounce down to 35 cents an ounce in the span of 3 or 4 years. It sent literally every single company belly up, and that no one's really been to look under the hood of these claims ever since. You know, it's the grades that I was telling you about that really made it one of the most significant precious metals districts in the U.S. Certainly, this time 100 years ago, Tonopah was among the most significant in all of North America, maybe even the world. And it was because of the grades. It was just because of the richness of the ore, and it was because of the location. So for those of you that saw Ely's presentation, I mean, Trey sort of walked you through the origins of their consolidation of this. We're the first group to pick up all of these packages of individual claims and consolidate it into one. The ink wasn't dry on their contract when we signed our contract with Ely to get it. When we signed this contract originally to, I guess, get the option secured, was February 25th. I think that coincided with the all-time silver gold ratio spread. It was something like 128 to 1 at the time. Silver in 5,000 years of tracking prices had never traded more cheaply than it did to the price of gold then. So we couldn't have timed it any better to get it, but we also saw that there was lots of chatter that silver was going to be the place to be. And when you get a district put together like this, with such history, such origins, with so much data, and then you realize that no one's put a drill hole into it, into these workings, into these mines since production shut down. Man, it was too good to pass up. And honestly, I think silver was around $12 when we signed it. It kissed $30 not too long after. So I don't think we could have timed it any better. Now, I was telling you about infrastructure. Lots of companies boast about power, water, roads. We've got hotels, casinos, literally everything you need. There's a highway that we're drilling right next to. As I said, that's the drill rig in the background there. You'll see the drillers are spoiled in the sense they've got choices of Subway. There's a food mart. They also have an A&W down there. I mean, you can get Bill often goes and gets root beer floats for the drillers and walks back to the drill, and the ice cream hasn't even melted yet. So from an infrastructure point of view, we're spoiled. And when it comes to Nevada, I mean, if Nevada were a country, it would be the 4th or 5th largest gold producing country on the planet. In the US, it accounts for about 80% of all of their gold production. And the other thing to note, actually, is that most of the silver production comes from Latin America. Pretty much every country in Latin America shut down their mines due to COVID. You know where it didn't shut down? Nevada. In Nevada, mining is considered an essential service. What that means is that, not only as a pure play primary silver district, 100 to 1 silver gold ratio, not only can we capitalize on what I think is a coiled spring silver price. I mean, look what happened in 2009 when silver went on a run of all runs. If it's anything like that, we'll have the benefit of really being able to reap that, really ride that wave up on the back of the silver prices when lots of these companies can't. They're either shut down and lots of uncertainties there, or they're tied to base metals and they can't really increase up capacity or try and reap the benefits of their silver credit if, say, copper or lead is tanking. So just another benefit. So we're in the midst of our Maiden Drill program. We're a drill-driven story. All of our value for the next year or two is going to be on what we can prove up with the drills. So far, so good. We've added about $80 million to our market cap. At one point, I think we added about $120 million to our market cap. That was based off of our first drill holes. Now, we're being we outline what our expectations for every single target we have. We haven't really changed our expectations on the slide deck since we started drilling. What we have noticed, though, and what we've released is that we've actually encountered a whole bunch of new vein zones even the historic miners didn't know were there. As I said, we think that what the historic miners took out during the 2 good decades they had pales in comparison to what is left there for us. And we're literally, every single drill hole we have, every intercept we release is bringing us one step forward to realizing that. And, you know, I'd say these targets are outdated now, just because this was based off of just the modeling we had at the time going into this drill program, going into the historic vein zones that we knew about. You know, so far we're confirming our theory very, very well. But the best part is we're also hitting some other vein zones which you didn't even know were there. And this is a wildly active area. You know, it's the size of a postage stamp when you think about it, because, you know, most of these silver districts in Mexico that a lot of these companies talk about are hundreds of kilometers in size. Tonopah itself, this entire district of which we control more than half of and are the largest claim holder down there, is only about 5 kilometers long east to west. Our package is about 5.5 kilometers squared. So, you know, all of this production, all of this, these rich veins, these thick veins they were mining, it's wildly active geologic area, but it's very confined. So, you know, we think they barely scratched the surface, but you know, and you know, our early drilling has only been driven based off the historical data. In terms of targeting, we haven't had to do well, we haven't gotten around to having to do geophysics yet. We've been having too much fun drilling it. As I said, this is our maiden drill program. We started just planning to do test 4 different target areas with a 7,500 meter program. Because we keep connecting and because money keeps coming in, we've scaled that up to 30,000 meters. Now, 3 of these targets that we outline here are actually historic past producing mines. We've drilled, we've released results from 2 of them so far, and from 2 of those, we've shown new life in both of them. We've proven our concept that the historic miners didn't stop because they ran out. We've released 16 drill holes so far. We've got 14 significant and high-grade intercepts, ranging from, we're using a 300 gram per ton silver equivalent cutoff, which we think is about mineable grades. And we've seen grades from 300 to 4,600 gram per ton silver equivalent. We've seen gold grades from as high as 26 grams. Some of these veins, our very first drill hole hit something 29 meters thick. So, you know, we're fishing with dynamite. These are the very first drill holes into this project in literally 90 years into these historic mines. And once again, we're adding a lot of value. We're every intercept that we hit gives us a new target because it gives us a new pierce point to follow up on. And what we're doing now is we're pulling on some serious strings. You know, everything right now is coming back more or less as we predicted the model would say it would. And every time we connect, it's showing some serious expansion potential. In fact, we've now delineated about 500 meters worth of strike in our second target area, which I'll show you about here. But we're turning the area of our first drill hole, where we hit 29 meters of roughly 1 kilogram per ton silver equivalent, into Swiss cheese right now with a core rig. We've got some core holes pending from the Victor area, which is where hole 1 came from. And those should be coming down the pipe next in terms of releases. But I believe we've completed 5 holes so far there. We haven't released 5 core holes so far. And we're testing about 300 meters worth of strike there. So imagine something 300 meters strike, 30 meters or 20 to 30 meters in thickness, and roughly 1 kilogram per ton. So we'll see if we can release those. This is our second target. The second target from an ounce perspective is going to be potentially bigger than anything on the property. This is where the bulk of our drilling is focused right now. We've got 2 rigs on there that are drilling out. We've got something like 500 meters worth of strike now shown in one potential. We've shown this vein corridor goes 500 meters beyond where the historic miners shut off 100 years ago. This represented the last producing mine in the district back then. So there's a lot of life here because we think it's open in both directions, and that's what we're testing now. Of note, and you know, our highest grade hit of the program was from our last set of results. That was from an extension of what's shown on this cross section here. You'll see a 1.5 meter intercept on the Merton vein that was 386 grams per ton. That's from hole 7. We followed that up down along strike 120 meters. So off the page here, we followed up another hit on that same vein with something 4,600 grams per ton. The single highest grade intercept on the property. What I want to show you with that is the fact that we're seeing such variation. Even, it looks like we have a low grade hit, something very skinny, and then it thickens up 120 meters down line. And that's where we're hitting something 10 times the grade, 13 times the grade. What we expect to see as they were mining these veins, as we get more pierce points into these individual veins, which we've now established are there, we'll start to see those grades skew towards the historical averages. That should be very exciting. Once again, we've got a few other lower grade hits here. What if those follow the same path as the Merton vein? We've also got some pretty good high grade hits there too. So stay tuned. We've got 2 rigs turning there right now. We've got a backlog of stuff waiting for us at the lab. We've also got a grassroots target that Core Mining made a few years ago, which we followed up. This is the most greenfield of our targets. As I said, we've got 3 past producing mines on our property that we're drilling into, and then we've got a 4th target, which is this. So, even though it doesn't seem like that a huge amount of ground we got, this district packs a punch, and there's a reason why. It's one of the reasons why Tonopah is Nevada is known as the Silver State, is because of Tonopah. I'm going to briefly touch on Silver Cloud because we're going to be drilling it in about a week. In fact, we're sending one of our rigs up there as we speak, and we've got targets, grassroots targets that would be as good as any other project in Nevada from what I can show you here. You'll see from a proximity point of view, it doesn't get much better. This is it's at the top of the largest gold mining complex in the world, and we're surrounded by some of the highest grade mines in certainly North America. Hollister, which we're right next door to, in 2015, I believe, was rated as the 2nd highest grade gold mine on the planet. I was producing at a head grade of 34 grams per ton. I'll just touch on what we're targeting here. Here's a satellite image of where we are, 45 square kilometers. Now, Hecla owns both Hollister and Midas. If Phil Baker, who's the CEO of Hecla, is looking at his claim map, we're the big donut hole in the middle, and we'd represent the lowest hanging exploration fruit in the district. This is a project that it's Newmont, Teck, and Placer Dome all had. They all drilled 1 round each in 3 different target areas, and they all made 3 different discoveries. They encountered gold in all 3 areas. We're the first group to seriously follow it up. The one target that we're really focused on for this round of drilling is called the Northeast Veins target. It's directly adjacent to Hollister. The veins at Hollister were mined effectively right up to our property boundary. No one has ever put a drill hole into our side of that claim map. The Hollister discovery was effectively really only started hitting the road after the project was sitting in purgatory, untouched for about 15 years. We've got 8 veins at surface on our side of the claim map. And for those of you that know geology, know that geology doesn't follow claim maps. It happened just a little before these things were staked. We're testing to see if we have the western extension of the Hollister deposit. We've got serious targets that are literally outcropping at surface. It doesn't get much better than that. What I'm going to do now is maybe what I'll do now is throw it back to Brandon. But as I said, we've got 3 rigs turning down at Tonopah. We're fishing with dynamite. We've released 16 drill holes. From those 16 drill holes, we've had 14 really noteworthy intercepts. These are world-class numbers that we're throwing up. 5 of those 14 intercepts are over 1 kilogram per ton. Each time we hit those, it gives us new targets to follow up on. At those grades and at the widths we're hitting, the ounces should pile up very, very quickly. So that's what you're buying. We're a drill-driven story, we're slowly walking it forward.
Beautiful. Well, Andrew, I appreciate very much, and good job on the really quick fix everything as well, because technical difficulties are always one of those things that find their ways into presentations. You acted quickly. We got all set, and as we said earlier, everyone got their coffee, got to relax, got to go through a really great presentation there as well. So I appreciate that. And there are quite a few questions in here. Please continue to get them in. We've got about another 22 minutes or so that we could be answering questions. And there's probably about 10 or 11 in here. So love seeing them in. Let's start with the very first one. It's from Randy. Randy asks, when will the new co be active and what will be the open share price?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So we're to do a spin out, we have to literally create a new company from scratch, from a private standpoint. It's new subsidiaries. There's a lot of tax planning that goes into it and analysis for the various accountants, yeah, sorry, for the various accountants on both sides of the border. You might have realized that we put out a technical report on Tonopah on Friday. We had to do that because if Blackrock's going to be a standalone company with just Tonopah, you need to have a 43101. So right now we're walking it forward by jumping through the various legal hoops that we have to, the accounting hoops that we have to, and do certain things to satisfy the requirements of the exchange, like ensure the technical reports are out for each project and yada yada yada. So we think we'll realistically be in a position to vote on this because shareholders ultimately have to approve it sometime in maybe December, maybe January, the latest, and then we should be able to trade soon after that. Valuation, that's anyone's guess. Right now, we're thinking we'll do 3-for-1. So we'll start out of the gates with about 35 million shares outstanding. The benefit of that is that we're coming out of the gates with largely institutionally held, and this immediately unlocks value. We only got Tonopah at the end of February, as I was saying. This time last year, we were about a $20 to $25 million market cap just on the back of Silver Cloud. We had a lot of buzz going on us on Silver Cloud. We've only had a chance to drill 6 holes on there so far. 6 holes on a property that's 45 square kilometers. So I mean, we've barely scratched the surface there. We are drilling it in the next week, anyways. I think we'll get going probably this time next week. That'll probably take a month. Who knows what'll happen there, but certainly we think that barring any really crazy surprises, we should be in a position to have the spin-out completed early 2021.
Very nice, very nice. A nice save the last second there too, putting the extra. It's already almost the next year. It's crazy how fast money is. The next one is from Steven. He says, on explorers next to old mine workings, they tend to drill so close to old workings that I feel the metal has been mined out and that they are just trying to get some high-grade numbers. How are you different in distances and depth below old workings or other areas outside farther away from old workings?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, there's lots of ways to sort of spin things that can give you really good initial results, and then all of a sudden you realize that maybe that was just a one-hole wonder. Some people might have said that on our very first drill hole, where we targeted right where the historic miners left off. I mean, that's where else would you start, right? We're literally the first group to go in and drill these historic workings, these historic mines. We had reason to believe in the Victor area, for example, that they didn't stop mining because they ran out of ore. They actually encountered water. And water was pouring in. They didn't have the means to pump it out, so they sent away for these really long lead items. But these were publicly traded companies this time, 90 years ago, and I mean they were very, very big. In historic terms, they would have been like mid-tiers today. Charles Schwab was the leading shareholder of the Tonopah Extension Company that was mining our Victor area, for example. And those historic reports that they had laid out very with a matter of fact that they spent significant money on development. They spent significant money sending out for diesel pumps. They spent significant diesel generators, significant money commissioning water pumps. It took years and years to build and be shipped. By the time they got there, silver prices had tanked, and they couldn't pay off the debt. It sent the company belly up. Well, where else would we start? We started right where they left off. That's really the only, that's, as the first group to go in there. I mean, that's a course where you pick up right where they left off, and then you figure out how much they left. But as an investor, I mean, does it make sense that a company backed by Charles Schwab would be spending, tens of millions of dollars by today's standards, taking on significant debt to do something that to do development on something that they thought was mined out? That's what we're testing now. In our second target, which we call DPB, we also pointed at the historic workings. We had all these historic hand-drawn maps showing exactly where the historic miners stopped. We know they were the last producing mine in the district. It was actually operated by the same company that had Victor. And when they stopped, we know, once again, based off the historic records, that they didn't stop because they thought they ran out of gold and silver. In fact, some of those records indicate that they did development another 150 meters beyond where they stopped, that they'd stamped out certain expectations on resources there. Guess what? We confirmed that. We've hit exactly what they stamped out. And then we did step outs. We've hit 500 meters down that vein corridor. So yeah, we're showing that not only did they, if you're a miner, unless there's business reasons, you're not going to stop mining veins that are right in front of your face. At Victor, we had something 29 meters thick. So yeah, if they stopped there, how much did they leave? That's the question, and that's what we're quickly trying to answer.
Absolutely. I appreciate that answer to that question. The next question is, you have other properties besides Tonopah, but has that become your flagship property now?
I think if you ask our investors, yeah. We've added, we only have one other property, and that's Silver Cloud. And because Tonopah has really captivated the market, and I think, I say this with, this will be the silver discovery of 2020. Like the numbers we're putting out are undeniable. We've got 3 rigs turning right now. We are fishing with dynamite, and from a jurisdiction point of view, there's literally every reason in the world, if you're going to be investing in the space, you want to be in Nevada. You don't want to be in Sinaloa or Bolivia. You want to be in Nevada. So I think as long as we keep hitting the way we are, and literally every single drill hole we connect with, it refines our model that much more. And we should be hitting at a higher level the more we go, the more data we generate. So with Tonopah being our flagship, absolutely, yeah, I want to unlock value. As I said this time last year, Silver Cloud, as our standalone commanded $25 million market cap. Right now, it's probably getting zero in terms of our valuation. We spin that out, that's immediately going to create value for shareholders. And that allows us to really build Blackrock into an advanced exploration and development company. It means we're able to focus in, not just a willy-nilly grassroots explorer drilling a bunch of projects. We've got a project, we've got a monster by the tail. We can really advance it quickly. So build the team for that, and then focus a new vehicle surrounded our grassroots Silver Cliff project.
Yeah, fantastic. The next question here is from Joe. He says the 800-meter step out showed no intercepts. What are your thoughts on this drill hole?
Yeah, it had we're using a 300 gram per ton cutoff grade, so we're the only stuff we're releasing is stuff that we actually think has a chance of being mineable, both mineable grades and mineable widths. Our smallest intercept, for example, that we've released is 1.5 meters. Our highest 30 meters. From a grade perspective, we've got everything from 300 to over 4 kilos. What we realized is that it's probably faulted off in that area. Not many companies attempt a 800-meter step out on their second pass of drilling a target. So the fact we've encountered at 500 meters out, that corridor is huge. I mean, we know how active these areas can be. That's a serious string to pull at, and what we're doing is we're working our way back. You saw the variation from that one drill hole on the Merton vein, one of the initial ones where we hit 1.5 meters of 386 grams per ton silver, and then 120 meters down we hit 4 kilos. We're going to have we've got so many different vein zones in that area. It's going to take a lot of our time to figure out, and what we're going to do is just try and build as many ounces as quickly as possible from there, and then it'll give us time to figure out that 800-meter step out, adding further range on those step outs to that one side. It's open in the other direction too. We're testing that as well. We've got some drill holes that are pending that will test both ways. So, we're testing up dip and down dip. But at the grades we're encountering, and with knowing the historic grades of the district, averaging at over 2 kilograms silver equivalent. This is going to be taking some serious shape very, very quickly.
Yeah, very exciting for investors, I can imagine. The next one is from Ron. It says, when do you expect some Victor vein news from the lab? How many cores have you completed, and how many drills is the lab going to report on?
Yeah, we've got so much activity going on at the site that we get snippets of stuff back. But yeah, I'm expecting that the next set of results that we'll be in a position to release, just based off what the labs told us, would be from Victor. Victor's unique in the sense that we're using a core drill rig there, whereas for the other ones we're using an RC rig. Yeah, we've completed, I believe we've completed 6 core holes at Victor. We're testing about 300 meters worth of strike. And yeah, I think we should have a batch of those coming down the pipe anytime. I mean, assays are imminent. I don't know what's going to come in first. I'm expecting Victor to come out next. I think that's what the market wants to see more. As I was saying, we've outlined our expectations for every target, and some targets, I think those expectations are getting bigger. Victor, for example, when we outlined that our expectations there, that was only based off about 200 meters worth of strike being tested. Well, we're testing 300 meters now. For DPB, that expectation wasn't accounting for 500 meters worth of step outs. It was really only accounting for maybe 300 meters or so. Those targets are getting bigger from our perspective. And DPB by far will represent the plurality of all the ounces on the property. We think it's probably going to account for 40 to 50% of all the ounces at the property, just because there's so many veins in that area, whereas Victor's just one big thick one. Yeah, lots coming down the pipe. I'd say assays would be imminent from a few of the things. We also finished drilling our Ohio target last week. Ohio represents the 3rd historic mine we're trying to bring back to life on this drill program. We like what we see.
Yeah. Well, we're going to continue with drilling specific questions, because the next one is from Ron. Once again, he's saying, from the 500-meter step out, what spacing are you going to use as your drill back towards the DPB?
Yeah, so we're doing 100-meter centers on the way back. But keep in mind, there's multiple veins going in that area. And we're also encountering new zones too. I mean, we hit a 1,600 gram, 1670 gram per ton silver equivalent, 1.5 meter vein zone, right at the same area where they were mining for about 15 years, and the historic miners didn't even know it was there. So, who knows what else we're uncover as we go back and as we drill, different orientations and such. But, as we go back, we should be going to the well in terms of results, because once again, we've already established these veins are here. We've got a start point, we've got an end point, multiple veins. We're seeing such variation. I mean, from 386 to 4,600 on one of the vein zones. So who knows what we'll find on the others, but it's not going to take much for the ounces to pile up.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've got about 8 minutes left here for question time. I've got a few more questions, so we'll keep running through them here. The last one from Ron here in the group of them here, he's asking, the Victor veins, can you see the visible precious metals, and what does it look like?
It's a good question. You can see veining. You can see presence of sulfides. We're not seeing. It's not visible gold, and there really aren't that. Even historically, there wasn't much mention of visible golds in there. But you're seeing some really, really epithermal looking textures in all of this. I mean, it's good looking rock. That's for sure. I mean, anytime you got, some of these zones are 100 feet or so. I mean, it's pretty. It's undeniable. So ultimately, though, you send it to the lab and they'll tell you what it is. I mean, the discovery of Tonopah actually, when Jim Butler discovered this vein outcropping at surface, he looked at it, and these veins back then, the ones they were mining right from surface, they were as high as 10 kilograms per ton silver equivalent. Early on, the grades they were realizing from surface were off the charts. Jim Butler had it assayed once, and it came back as nothing. He didn't see anything visible in it either. He thought it was worthless. And then another friend came who was, I guess, a little bit of a background in metallurgy, and said, no, we think you got something here. So even back then, when they made the discovery, they weren't, they weren't seeing it really, gold or silver in the rocks per se, but you'll see the characteristics of what you want to see, and you'll know when you're in the zone or not.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the next question here is from Joe. Another drill question. He's saying, is the 29-meter strike on hole 1 in the Victor vein a true thickness of the vein?
We're thinking it'll be about 70 to 80% true thickness. What we're testing right now is that was pretty much a vertical drill hole. The historic record said where they stopped mining, it was about 24 meters based off the orientation and some of the deviation we had in the drill. We think that 29-meter hit was probably 24 meters or so about 70 or 80%. But what we're doing now, not only are we testing strike, but we're coming through those veins at different orientations to get a better sense of the true thickness as well. But it should be, it's going to be 20 meters plus. That's what they were mining. That's what we expect. And really, the question is not. The thickness. It's quite unique, the thickness, but it's how much strike we got there too. It's 3 dimensions.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's so close to the election, so it was bound to have a political question in here, but I think it's quite tame and has a really good purpose to it, saying, this is from James, if Biden wins, solar power development will be huge, resulting on massive solar development. What do you see the POS going to? When do you see first production?
Well, that's a great, I guess, to tie it in for people that don't know the relation. Solar is probably the biggest industrial consumer of silver. So if there's a government mandated push towards solar panels, silver consumption will go through the roof. I've seen various projections, but really, it's going to push upward pressure on it. It's anyone's guess because silver is both industrial and it's both it's currency too, right? So who knows? The genie's out of the bottle in terms of money printing, and it's evident that regardless of who wins, there's going to be further stimulus, and it's going to have $1 trillion price tag plus in front of it when it comes. So that genie's out of the bottle. They're printing money. That means that for every dollar we'll buy less and less. The price of silver should go up. Same with gold. Those are the 2 places I want to be. Luckily, gold and silver are what we seem to have in spades. Obviously the backdrop is the industrial consumption aspect of it. Solar power is, I think solar consumption right now takes about 18 to 19% of all silver. That'd go up. I think the projection is if Biden gets his numbers, that would send it would account for about 30 to 40% of silver consumption. So it's going to be demand, right? So
absolutely. The next question here is from Joe. Joe, I'll read the question, but it's been answered just prior. Can you speculate as to when the spin out may happen? And not to steal your words, Andrew, but I believe you're saying you're hopeful this is going to be the early part of 2021.
Correct. Yeah. So hopefully a position to have all our ducks in a row from the various legal loopholes we have to do and to satisfy exchange requirements for shareholder vote sometime in December, latest probably January, and then spin out. The trading would be soon after that.
Beautiful. This is another question coming from Ron. He says, how many Ohio veins have you finished?
Yeah, we've completed probably 4 or 5 drill holes into that. So that was from the 3rd drill rig. Effectively, when we started, we just started out with 1 RC rig. Then we moved to RC rig plus a core rig. The core rig's effectively living at Victor, and the initial RC rig's been having a lot of fun drilling out DPB. When we got this 3rd rig, we wanted to see what was waiting for us at Ohio, and we've been popping out some serious holes there. So I think that drilling's complete on Ohio. We'll obviously wait and see what the results are coming back from that, because that'll guide what we're doing next. But we're testing a concept there. We're the first group to ever drill it, and we think it's looking like our concept may be correct. So we'll see what the assays have to say. But it's an extension of what they've been mining in Victor, and it could be pretty big.
And just to expand on this, I believe you touched on it very shortly there, but I didn't see the 2 questions coming together because there's a very quick follow-up question from Ron saying what he means by that is how many drill holes have you finished at Ohio and what does it look like? But I believe you still answered that question.
Yeah, so we've completed 5, or I believe we've completed 5, maybe 6. We're done drilling it now until we get results back, because obviously the results will guide us. I mean, now it's RC, so unlike using a core rig, you don't actually get to see you don't get to see the samples. It chips them up. It's a percussion drill, really. So it chips the rock and like a jackhammer almost, and you can get vague ideas of when you're in the zone or not, or how big the zone's going to be. I can't say anything that would be considered material, but we're testing a concept. It looks like we're correct. So
Very
that's
nice. Well, Andrew, I appreciate that. I know there are a few more questions still here, but we have finished with our time today. But please feel free to reach out to Andrew and his team. You could reach out to our team, and we'll make sure that that question or inquiry gets over to Andrew. Andrew, really quickly, if people were to get a hold of you, how would they do so? Maybe through your IR, through your website?
Yeah, well, I am the IR. So it's just Andrew for email, reach out to me directly. It's just Andrew at blackrockgoldcorp.com. Happy to field any questions. And, in the interim, it shouldn't be long for news. And we've got a lot coming down the pipe in the not so distant future. And this pullback should be considered an opportunity. So there you go.
Absolutely. Well, once again, thank you very much, Andrew. And for everybody who's in our attendance today, we are moving on to our next webinar. We've got a few minutes here to go, maybe go to the washroom, grab a drink, grab another coffee. It's the days continue to going on. But Andrew, always a pleasure having you on this platform, and look forward to hearing from you and seeing what comes from your company in the very near future, but also the years to come as well.
Thanks very much. Great to be here. Cheers.
Absolutely. Take care now.